Max had always been the kind of guy who thought he understood the fine print. He'd read the pamphlet, he'd checked the rules, and he'd arrived at the Celestial Exchange with every intention of bidding on a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Maybe a tour of the Nebula Gardens on Viridia 7, or a rare taste of the floating feasts of the Gorgonite chefs. Something he could brag about back home, a story to tell over too many beers with friends who had never left Earth's orbit. But as the auctioneer's voice echoed through the grand hall, each syllable translated through his clunky universal earpiece, he felt a tug of something more adventurous. And now, dear bidders, we present the ultimate prize, an experience guaranteed to change your life. The auctioneer's voice carried that practiced enthusiasm, the kind that made wallets flutter open and credits flow. Max's hand shot up before he'd fully processed the offer. What was it? A journey through time? A chance to captain a starship? Maybe a rare artifact with hidden powers? His mind raced with possibilities. The bidding was fierce. Aliens with eyes on stalks and those with shimmering, translucent skin raised their bids with subtle gestures, every move translating to digits that outpaced Max's comfort zone. But he'd come this far. He wasn't about to back down. 50,000 credits! He called, his voice wavering but his hand steady. Silence fell. The auctioneer's eyebrow, or whatever that ridge above his eye was, lifted. Sold! To the human with a sense of adventure! The crowd hummed with interest as Max stepped forward, his mind a whirlpool of expectation and doubt. He felt the weight of the room's gaze, the anticipation of a dozen species all wondering what he had won, and why a human thought he could handle it. Backstage, the atmosphere changed. The opulent drapery, the soft lights, the gentle hum of unseen machinery, it felt more like a luxury lounge than the back of an auction house. Max swallowed hard as a door slid open with a whisper, revealing a figure that immediately made his thoughts skid to a halt. She was beautiful, in that way that crossed the boundaries of species. Lyra. Her skin shimmered in shades of violet, her eyes large and luminous, shifting colors as they focused on him. She wore something that flowed like liquid, wrapping around her figure in ways that suggested both elegance and something else entirely. Her voice, when she spoke, was a melody. Greetings, Max. I am here to fulfill your every need. Max's brain short-circuited. Hi. Wait, what? Her expression remained serene, a professional calm that only made her words hang heavier in the air. I am your companion, as promised by the auction. Whatever you desire, it is my duty to provide. Desire. Companion. Fulfill. His mind took a hard left turn, crashing through every adult scenario it could conjure. Surely not. This couldn't be. No, the galaxy wasn't that kind of place, was it? He tried to recover, offering a smile that probably looked more like a grimace. Oh, wow. That's very generous of you. Her head tilted, a gesture that seemed equal parts curiosity and mild amusement. Generosity has nothing to do with it. It is simply my purpose. I am trained in all forms of pleasure and satisfaction. Max's knees nearly gave out. Okay, hold on. When you say pleasure, you mean anything that brings you joy, she replied smoothly. Would you like a tour of the city? A tasting of our finest delicacies? Perhaps a visit to our renowned sonic therapy baths? He blinked. The mental picture of rose-petaled beds and sultry whispers dissolved into a very different vision, one of tourist attractions and brochures. Right. Of course. That's what I thought you meant. He laughed, a little too loud, a little too forced. A tour sounds great. She stepped closer, her movements a gliding, hypnotic flow. I can also offer personal services. Do you require assistance with grooming? Wardrobe selection? I have been trained in over 50 styles of massage, both therapeutic and recreational. There it was again. That edge in her words, a blade of meaning that seemed to slice two ways. He had to ask, didn't he? Recreational massage? To relieve stress, she clarified. Or enhance physical performance. Many of our visitors find it most pleasurable. His brain was running a marathon, and his feet were tangled in the starting blocks. I bet they do. Her eyes brightened, a change in hue that might have been enthusiasm. Then it is settled. I shall begin immediately. Wait. No, I mean yes. I mean, he fumbled, his face a map of confusion. Maybe we could start with a tour? You know, ease into things. She nodded, apparently unbothered by his verbal car crash. As you wish. I am here to serve. She led him through another doorway, her stride confident, while he followed, still trying to align his expectations with reality. Max's inner monologue turned into a battleground. Had he just won the galaxy's most elaborate tourist guide? Or was this still a veiled offer for something more? Every phrase she used seemed to dance on the edge of innuendo, but her demeanor was as professional as a concierge. His earpiece beeped, translating a nearby conversation. Two aliens were discussing the auction. Did you see? A human won the companionship package. Poor guy probably thinks he's about to get lucky. The other snorted, a wet, unsettling sound. Wait until he realizes she's a guide. That'll be a punchline for the ages. Max's face burned. Oh no. He glanced at Lyra, who was explaining the architectural significance of the building they passed. Oh. No. But even as realization washed over him, another thought bubbled up. Maybe this wasn't a disaster. Sure, his mind had gone to places his body would never follow, but here he was, in an alien city, with a beautiful guide who seemed genuinely eager to show him the best of her world. Maybe he didn't need a romantic adventure. Maybe an actual adventure would do just fine. He straightened, clearing his throat. So, Lyra, what's the most exciting thing to do around here? She turned to him, her face lighting up. Oh, there is so much to experience. I shall ensure you are completely satisfied by the end of the day. Max winced, then laughed. Yeah, I'm starting to understand that. And with that, he stepped fully into the experience, still a little confused, maybe a bit embarrassed, but ready for whatever came next. After all, he'd wanted a story to tell. He just hadn't expected it to start quite like this. Max followed Lyra through the bustling market streets of the Celestial Exchange, his mind still racing to catch up with reality. She moved with an effortless grace, weaving through crowds of multi-limbed, multi-eyed beings, each more bizarre and fascinating than the last. Her voice remained calm and professional, even as every word she spoke seemed to tiptoe the line between innocent guidance and scandalous suggestion. This district is renowned for providing pleasure to visitors, Lyra explained, gesturing toward a row of glowing storefronts. Max's eyebrows shot up before he saw the signs: spa treatments, sensory lounges, and therapeutic sound baths. His brain had to adjust gears, dropping from overdrive to a more sensible cruise. Pleasure clearly had a different connotation here. Yeah? Looks relaxing. He forced a casual tone, but his inner monologue was a chaotic mess. Did she know what she was saying? Was this all just an accidental game of verbal twister, or was he missing some very clear cultural signals? Lyra continued. Our sonic vibration treatments are particularly popular. Many find them pleasurable, especially when paired with our immersive aromatherapy sessions. She paused, turning to him with those luminous eyes. Would you like to experience it? Max nearly choked on his own breath. I mean, yeah, sure. Who doesn't love vibrations and aromas? He bit his tongue, cringing at how that sounded. She led him into a dimly lit room filled with soft cushions and a gentle hum that vibrated through the air. Max settled onto a plush seat as Lyra programmed the treatment. This will help release tension and stimulate your senses, she said, her voice a melody over the ambient sound. The cushions began to pulse, the vibrations massaging his back with rhythmic precision. A mist filled the room, carrying a scent that was both floral and spicy, a blend that wrapped around him like a warm blanket. His muscles unwound, and for the first time since the auction, he let himself relax. Do you find this pleasing? Lyra asked, her tone as soothing as the mist. Max opened one eye, a lazy smile spreading across his face. Very. I might just melt into this chair. Her lips curved into a smile. Good. My purpose is to ensure your complete satisfaction. Max's mind skidded back into dangerous territory. He sat up quickly, the cushions vibrating against his back like a mischievous nudge. So, just to be clear, when you say satisfaction, you mean relaxation, right? Of course. What else would I mean? She blinked, her expression a perfect blend of innocence and curiosity. He exhaled, a mix of relief and exasperation. Nothing. Never mind. You're doing a great job. As they left the spa, Max found himself both more at ease and more confused than ever. Every step seemed to lead into another potential misunderstanding. When Lyra suggested they try a feast for the senses, he braced for anything, only to find himself at a bustling food market, surrounded by exotic fruits and sizzling meats. Try this, Lyra said, holding out a small, glowing fruit. It will burst in your mouth. Max hesitated, then took a bite. The fruit did, indeed, pop with a rush of sweet, tangy juice. He laughed, the tension draining as he realized that maybe not everything had a hidden meaning. You seem more comfortable now, Lyra observed as they wandered through the stalls. At first, you appeared tense. Max rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah, I might have had the wrong idea about this whole companion thing. Her expression softened. It is common. Many who visit expect companionship to mean something more intimate. His face burned. Ah. So you've dealt with this before? Yes, but never with a human. Your species is wonderfully expressive. I find it refreshing. Max couldn't help but laugh. Expressive is one way to put it. You probably think I'm an idiot. Not at all. I enjoy our conversations. You make me think in new ways. She tilted her head. And I must admit, I am curious about your world. Your customs are so unrestrained. He grinned. That's a nice way of saying we're weird. She returned the smile. If weird means unique, then yes. They reached a performance square where dancers moved in intricate patterns, their bodies entwining with ribbons of light. Lyra explained the symbolism, her voice carrying a blend of reverence and warmth. Max found himself mesmerized, not just by the display, but by how naturally she shared her world with him. Would you like to join? She asked, holding out her hand. Max hesitated, then took it. The dance was slow, a series of simple steps and gentle turns. He moved awkwardly at first, his human limbs struggling to match the fluidity of the alien rhythm. But Lyra guided him, her touch light but steady, her laughter infectious. This is actually nice, he admitted. Her eyes shimmered, reflecting the lights of the dance. I am glad. It is my purpose to bring you joy. There it was again, that phrase, so easily loaded with meaning. Max chose to take it at face value this time. Well, mission accomplished. They sat by a fountain afterward, watching as bioluminescent fish swam in loops beneath the surface. The water cast rippling shadows, and for a moment, Max forgot about his earlier confusion. He was simply enjoying the moment. Max, Lyra said softly, have I met your expectations? He thought about it. Honestly? I didn't know what to expect. But this has been amazing. Probably not what I thought I was signing up for, but maybe exactly what I needed. Her expression brightened. That is the highest compliment I could receive. Max leaned back, staring up at the unfamiliar stars. You know, I was kind of hoping for an adventure. Turns out, just being here with you has been exactly that. She reached over, her fingers brushing against his. There is still so much more to see. If you are willing. Absolutely, he said. Lead the way. As they rose, Max felt a shift, not just in his expectations but in how he saw this entire experience. Maybe it hadn't been what he thought he'd won at the auction, but it was becoming something better. A story worth telling, not because it was wild or romantic, but because it was real. And if there was a little innuendo along the way, well, that was just the spice of the adventure. Max found himself standing at the entrance to what Lyra described as the Festival of Union. The name alone was enough to send his mind spiraling into dangerous territory, but he had learned his lesson. After a day filled with innocent phrases wrapped in scandalous packaging, he was determined to keep his expectations grounded. Still, a small part of him couldn't help but wonder what exactly union meant in this context. Lyra's excitement was palpable. The festival celebrates connection and shared experiences. It is a chance for beings from all over the galaxy to find harmony with one another. She spoke with the same professional enthusiasm that had both charmed and thoroughly confused him all day. Max took a deep breath. That sounds enlightening. She nodded. It is tradition to participate in a coupling ceremony. Would you like to join me? His brain tripped over the word. Coupling. He stared at her, his lips parting with a question he wasn't sure how to ask. Coupling. Like together? Of course. It is a bonding exercise, very intimate. She leaned closer, her eyes glowing with an innocent eagerness that did nothing to help his composure. I have only performed it once before. It requires perfect synchronization and complete trust. He swallowed hard. Trust. Sure. I can do trust. Before he could backpedal, Lyra led him to a platform surrounded by a dozen other couples, or pairs, he corrected himself. Many of them were clearly not romantically involved. An elderly alien with translucent skin stood next to what looked like a sentient puddle, their limbs, and pseudopods, intertwined in a bizarre but not exactly sensual way. Max's confusion deepened. Please extend your hand, Lyra instructed. She produced a ribbon-like material that shimmered with an iridescent glow. As she wrapped it around their wrists, he felt a gentle warmth radiate through his skin. The coupling binds us together for the duration of the ceremony. We must move as one. Right. Move as one. Max tried not to let his voice crack. This isn't binding in any other way, is it? She blinked at him. I'm not sure I understand. Like, are we getting married? Lyra's laughter rang out, bright and genuine. Oh no! This is not a legal union, merely a physical one. A dance, if you will. Max's shoulders slumped with relief. A dance? Of course. I can do that. The music started, a low hum that seemed to vibrate through his bones. The crowd began to move, slow and deliberate. Lyra stepped forward, and the ribbon tugged at his wrist, pulling him along. He stumbled at first, nearly stepping on her toes, or whatever her species had instead of toes, but she guided him with a patience that steadied his nerves. The movements became more fluid, a gentle push and pull that required him to focus entirely on her. Her hands were cool against his skin, and he found himself matching her rhythm, not just in body but in breath. The world around them blurred, and for a moment, there was nothing but the soft glow of the festival lights and the quiet harmony of their movements. You are doing well, Lyra whispered. Many struggle to find the flow, but you adapt quickly. I've had a lot of practice today, he murmured back. I think I'm finally getting the hang of this whole cultural exchange thing. Her lips curved into a smile. I am glad. It is a pleasure to guide you. That word again. Pleasure. But this time, Max took it at face value. He let himself enjoy the simplicity of the moment, the innocent intimacy of the dance. The music swelled, and they moved faster, their steps more intricate. He felt the ribbon tighten and then release, a gentle reminder of their connection. When the music finally slowed, he was breathless, not from exertion but from the surreal beauty of the experience. The crowd around them applauded, a sound that rippled through the air like a soft breeze. Lyra unwrapped the ribbon, and he felt an unexpected pang of loss as their hands parted. You did wonderfully, she said, her voice warm. The coupling ceremony is meant to foster understanding. I feel as though I understand you more now. Max rubbed his wrist where the warmth lingered. Yeah, I feel the same. I didn't expect this when I showed up at that auction. Her head tilted, curiosity brightening her features. What did you expect? He hesitated, a dozen jokes lining up in his mind, each more inappropriate than the last. But honesty seemed like the best option. Honestly? I wasn't sure. I thought I was signing up for an adventure, maybe something a little more traditional. You know, like a tour or a class or maybe even a thrill ride. When I met you, I thought something very different. Her expression remained gentle, without a hint of judgment. Many misunderstand. Our cultures are very different. What might seem intimate to you is often quite normal to us. I'm starting to see that. He chuckled, running a hand through his hair. I've been misreading signals all day. She laughed, a sound that seemed to melt away any lingering awkwardness. Perhaps, but I have enjoyed watching you try to interpret them. You approach everything with such openness. It is a rare quality. Openness or cluelessness? Perhaps a bit of both. She reached out, taking his hand in a casual, friendly gesture. But that is not a bad thing. It allows for experiences like this, where we can find common ground despite our differences. Max squeezed her hand. I'm glad it turned out this way. I might not have gotten what I expected, but I think I got something better. Lyra's eyes shimmered, the colors shifting with an emotion he couldn't quite name. Then my purpose is fulfilled. Your purpose? To bring joy. To create connection. You have shown me as much of your world as I have shown you of mine. The realization settled over him like a blanket, warm and comforting. You know, when they said I'd won the auction, I thought I was getting an experience. I didn't realize I was actually getting a friend. Her smile widened. Friendship is the greatest adventure of all, is it not? Max nodded. It really is. As they walked away from the festival, still hand in hand, he felt lighter than he had in years. He had come looking for a story to tell, and while it wasn't the kind he had imagined, it was one he would treasure. And maybe, just maybe, he'd finally learn to take things as they came, without overthinking every word, every gesture. Well, mostly. Because when Lyra offered to show him a place where his senses could be truly awakened, he still had to bite his tongue and remind himself, she probably meant a museum. Probably. As the evening settled into the soft twilight of the Celestial Exchange, Max and Lyra found a quiet spot near the glowing streams of bioluminescent water. The day's whirlwind of miscommunications had given way to a comfortable rhythm, and Max finally felt like he had his footing. The earlier confusion, the mix-ups, and his constant second-guessing seemed almost amusing now, a reminder of how easily expectations could twist reality. Lyra handed him a small, crystalline object, its facets catching the light and refracting it into gentle rainbows. This is for you, she said, her voice carrying a sincerity that made the gift feel more significant than its size suggested. It is a token of our time together, a reminder of shared experiences. He turned it over in his hand, the crystal warm against his skin. It's beautiful. What does it represent? It is called a memory crystal. It captures moments of connection. When you hold it, you may feel echoes of our journey today. Max closed his hand around it, and a subtle warmth pulsed through his palm. Memories of the festival, the laughter, the dance, and even the awkward beginnings replayed in his mind, each image sharp and vivid. It's like a scrapbook, but for feelings. She nodded. Exactly. It is a way to preserve the essence of meaningful interactions. It is customary to share one with those who leave a lasting impression. His chest tightened at that. I wasn't expecting to find something like this here. I thought I was just buying a ticket to some kind of adventure. And did you not find adventure? She asked, her eyes twinkling with a blend of mischief and warmth. Oh, definitely. Just not the kind I imagined. He laughed, the sound freer than it had been in a long time. When I heard companion, I thought, well, you know what I thought. Her lips quirked into a knowing smile. Yes, I do. And I admit, I might have enjoyed watching you navigate your assumptions. Cruel. He smirked. You could have told me from the start. But then we might not have had such a delightful experience. She leaned back, her expression serene. Sometimes, allowing confusion to unravel naturally leads to deeper understanding. Wise words. He rolled the crystal between his fingers. I really did think I was about to step into some kind of, She raised an eyebrow, the gesture a perfect mimicry of human skepticism. A romantic entanglement? Something like that. He shrugged, his cheeks warming. But honestly, this was better. I think I needed this, a real connection, not just some surface-level fling. Her expression softened. Many seek physical connection, but few seek true understanding. You may have misunderstood my role, but your openness allowed us to find something more valuable. Max felt a swell of gratitude. I guess what I'm trying to say is, thank you. For being patient. For not laughing too hard when I made a fool of myself. Oh, I laughed, she teased. But always with kindness. He groaned. I'll take that. I deserve it. They sat in companionable silence, the ambient sounds of the festival drifting to them on the breeze. Max felt the weight of the day settle, not as a burden, but as a comfortable blanket. His expectations had been dismantled, but what replaced them was something solid, something real. So, what happens now? He asked. Do you go back to your world? Do I just hop on the next shuttle home? Lyra's gaze turned thoughtful. I will continue my work here, guiding others, helping them navigate our culture. And you, what do you wish to do? He considered it. Part of me wants to stay. Keep exploring, learn more. But I think I need to go back, take this experience with me. Share it. Maybe even see what other misunderstandings I can stumble into. Her laugh was bright. You have a talent for it. Yeah? Just as long as I don't end up accidentally marrying another alien. Her expression shifted, a playful glint in her eye. The ceremony today was not binding, but if you wish to make it official. His eyes widened, and she laughed again, the sound as light as the air around them. I am joking, Max. He let out a breath, then joined her laughter. I'm going to need a translator forever, aren't I? She reached out, taking his hand. You have learned quickly. Perhaps next time, you will be the guide. Her touch was gentle, the connection a simple gesture of friendship, but it held weight. Not the kind that dragged him down, but the kind that anchored him. I'd like that. And if you ever make it to Earth, I'll return the favor. I'll show you the best we have to offer. And I promise, no mixed signals. Her smile was soft. I would like that very much. As the night deepened, they stood, either eager to say goodbye but both understanding that the time had come. Max tucked the memory crystal into his pocket, its warmth a reminder of everything he had gained. He had come to the Celestial Exchange expecting an adventure, and he was leaving with a story, a real one, not just a tale of wild antics or mistaken intentions, but a genuine experience that had changed him. At the shuttle port, he hesitated. This isn't really goodbye, is it? Lyra shook her head. Not if you do not wish it to be. I don't. He hesitated, then leaned forward, pressing a light kiss to her cheek. Thank you, Lyra. For everything. She touched the spot where his lips had been, her expression a mix of surprise and delight. Until we meet again, Max. He boarded the shuttle, his chest tight with emotion. As the doors closed, he saw her still standing there, a calm presence in the chaos of travelers. He waved, and she returned it, a simple gesture that held a promise. When the shuttle lifted off, he leaned back in his seat, the memory crystal a steady pulse against his leg. His mind replayed the day, each moment a vivid picture. He had come seeking a thrill, and he had found something far more valuable, a connection, a friendship, and perhaps most importantly, a deeper understanding of himself. Max allowed his eyes to close, a smile playing on his lips. The adventure wasn't over. It was simply changing form. And whatever came next, he knew he was ready. After all, he had already proven that when life threw him into the deep end of the galaxy, he could swim. Maybe not gracefully, maybe not without confusion, but with heart. And in the end, that was all that mattered.